Hi, I'm Graeme Simsion. I'm the author of the Rosie Project, and prior to that, Data Modelling Essentials, Data Modelling Theory and Practice, and now, the Rosie Effect. Well, the Rosie Effect is a sequel to the Rosie Project, and as you know, at the end of the Rosie Project we find Don and Rosie together and all the loose ends seem to have been tied up. But of course, with Don TILLMAN around, you only have to pull one little strand and things start to unravel. And Don and Rosie are faced with a new challenge. Rosie's pregnant. Don isn't quite sure he's ready for fatherhood. I had no plans whatsoever for a sequel. In fact, it was the opposite. I deliberately tied up all the loose ends at the end of the Rosie Project. I didn't believe you should have sequels to romantic comedies, and that was it. I was walking away and I'd actually made a start on a new book which had nothing to do with Don and Rosie. I had dinner with my writers group and we were celebrating one of them being pregnant. And she was the last in the group, not counting my side to get pregnant. And someone in the group said, you know, you're going to have to give Mark, who was her husband, you're going to have to give Mark the talk. And I have this talk that I give to men who are about to become fathers for the first time. And I thought, you know, Don TILLMAN needs that talk, and maybe there's a book in that. Well, he's got a bunch of challenges. I mean, the big challenge for him ultimately is to hold his marriage together. It's one thing to start a relationship, to win the person that you want to win. It's another thing to make that sustain. That's something that we all of us in relationships face. So Don's overall biggest challenge is to hold the relationship together. But he's very focused on becoming a good father, helping his friends. His friend Dave, the fat baseball fan, has got some pretty big issues. He's minding the beer cellar for a faded rock star who lives upstairs. He's on the Lesbian Mothers Project to avoid, to stop political correctness getting in the way of scientific findings. So he's got all sorts of problems in his life. Interesting question. I mean, there are some set pieces, some important scenes, and I have to tell you, I've never been present at labour going wrong or anything like that, which is one of the big scenes. But there is the antenatal uproar, which is when Don goes to antenatal class. And when Anne, my wife, was expecting our first child, I remember we went along to the antenatal class, and the nurse who was running it said, and men, you've got to be prepared to support your partner's choice to breastfeed. And I actually put up my hand and said, or not to, because choice, you know, and this threw a cat absolutely amongst the pigeons. It wasn't the right answer. You must breastfeed it, so there's no choice really, was the message. And I grabbed that little moment and put it into the antenatal uproar scene in the Rosie Effect. Look, I think so. I think that there's certainly the possibility of a third book. I wouldn't suggest there's anything beyond that. I don't see a series of the extent of, say, the Adrian Mole series, but maybe the equivalent of, you know, the Bridget Jones series. We might get a third book out of it. But that'll be 5 to 7 years down the track, I think. I'm working on another book about a relationship rekindled after 22 years at the moment. So it'll be another love story. There'll be some humour in it, but it won't be Don and Rosie.